our systems are failing very fast. The number of diseases and those which are related to air quality have risen phenomenally. That what they had predicted was going to happen 20 years later is happening now. As citizens, we need to demand. There are issues where people are just not accepting something new. हाँ जास्ते challenge होता. That's not related to being a woman, but that's probably related to how our Indian society or even scientific society looks at new things. We all would love to change the world, or we would like to conserve the world and protect it, but we see ourselves as something away from it. Somebody has to, create some anarchy in the system. Ki, I challenge this. And then, suddenly everybody realizes ki, okay, we have been looking at it in this manner. One can also look at it in another manner. And maybe that is what fascinates us with nature. I had the courage to say की हे मग असं नसेल. म्हणजे मागच्यानी सांगितलं मोठ्या पेपरमध्ये म्हणून ऍक्सेप्ट करायचं ही टेंडन्सी आमच्यात नव्हती, माझ्यातही न. कारण देर आर सो मेनी व्ह्यू पॉइंट्स, यू कॅन लुक ॲट इट इन सो मेनी वेज अँड इट्स ऑलवेज न्यू. एव्हरी स्पीशीज इज ट्राईंग टू सर्व्हाइव्ह, सो इट्स नॅचरल. So action oriented research is something I think we should be focusing on.
तर challenges काय face होतात? Especially as a woman, I am sure there must be another different set of challenges. So what are the challenges?
So, this question has been asked to me. आणि मी जेव्हा विचार केला तेव्हा मला असं वाटलं की बिकॉज आय वॉज बॉर्न अराउंड 70 अँड वॉट एव्हर, अँड देन आय बिकेम ऍक्टिव्ह अराउंड 80s अँड 90s. तेव्हा ना इनफॅक्ट विमेन गोईंग आउट अँड वर्किंग वॉज वेलकम. म्हणजे जनरली जे ग्लोबलायझेशन तेव्हा होत होतं त्याच्यामध्ये इट वॉज ऑलवेज सीन की अरे छान तू असं करतेस का, वेगळं करतेस का. सो माझ्या मैत्रिणी पण होत्या, त्यातली वन बिकेम फायटर पायलट, नॉट फायटर, आय मीन शी बिकेम कार्गो पायलट, बट शी वेंट इन टू एअरफोर्स. सो हे शी कुड ड्रीम ऑफ दॅट अँड शी हॅड फॅमिली अँड सोसायटी विच कुड सपोर्ट इट. सो आम्हाला सगळ्यांना हा खूप ॲडव्हान्टेज होता की देर वॉज अन ओपननेस इन विमेन वर्किंग, इवन वर्किंग आफ्टर मॅरिंग, आफ्टर हॅव्हिंग किड्स अँड ऑल, अँड इट वॉज इझियर दॅट टाइम असं मला वाटतं. अँड इट वॉज नॉट सो स्ट्रेसफुल. आता मला असं वाटतं की when I look at younger students, because the whole pace of life and pressures have grown so much, then it becomes very difficult कारण she doesn't have a support system at home की हे करतात, सगळेच काम करतात. सो मी माझ्या मुलाला माझ्या आईवर टाकायचे, सासूवर टाकायचे. शी डझंट हॅव दॅट फ्रीडम बिकॉज दे आर ऑल्सो डुईंग समथिंग ऑर ऍक्टिव्ह. सो दॅट्स वन थिंग की घरामधून एक मग हळूहळू मग कुणाचं काम कमी करायचं तर ते बायकांचं कमी केलं जातं. फॉर्च्युनेटली आय डिडंट हॅव टू deal with that at all from both sides. That was a great thing. So that is home situation. Fieldwork मध्ये सुद्धा we used to go as mixed groups, मित्र मंडळी होते, but family always trusted us की हे काय करतात ते बरोबरच करतात. It's not like that. आणि दुसरं म्हणजे बाहेरची सिच्युएशन पण इट वॉज नॉट रिस्की. बरोबर. आज मला असं वाटतं की रात्री कुठून तरी 4 वाजता किंवा 3 वाजता कुणीतरी गाडीतून येतंय, इट्स अ रिस्की सिच्युएशन अँड दॅट्स बिकॉज द सोसायटी हॅज चेंज्ड लाईक दॅट, जी तेव्हा नव्हती.
सो आता सिच्युएशन
आता इट्स मच मोर इझी, मच मोर डिफिकल्ट आय वुड से टू फंक्शन प्रोडक्टिव्हली ॲज अ वुमन डीलिंग विथ द सोशल सिच्युएशन्स. जे थोडंसं सोपं होतं आधी. थोड्या मर्यादा होत्या, म्हणजे यू एंडेड अप थिंकिंग की अरे हे नाही आपण करू शकत, हे नाही, यू चूज. बट दे वर नॉट रिस्क लाईक द काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स दॅट यू फेस नाव ऑर स्ट्रेसेस डुईंग इट, असं हे आहे.
बट देन कनेक्टिव्हिटी त्या काळात इश्यू नव्हता, म्हणजे यू आर इंट वेल कनेक्टेड विथ द आउटसाइड वर्ल्ड इफ यू आर ऑन, बिकॉज तेव्हा डेटा वायफाय वगैरे काही नव्हतं. सो वॉज दॅट अन इश्यू?
इट कुड हॅव बीन. म्हणजे आता असं वाटतं की कसं आपण केलं तेव्हा फोन शिवाय. But it was okay because again I said की you plan your life according to that. की फॉर एक्झाम्पल मी जर का भीमाशंकरला गेले तर माझ्या घरच्यांना माहिती असायचं, ऍक्सेप्टेड असायचं की 3 दिवस फोन येणार नाहीये. पण दे ऑल्सो न्यू की रिस्क काही नाहीये. इथून एसटीतून बसून जातीये मुलगी, 4 लोक बरोबर आहेत, तिथे जातीये, राहते, शी इज कमिंग बॅक. अँड ओव्हर म्हणजे एक मला आठवते सिच्युएशन की मी आणि माझी मैत्रीण वी डिसाइडेड टू गो टू तामिणी, कारण माझी फील्ड साईट होती. आणि भर पावसात, म्हणजे आय थिंक इट वॉज सम 22nd 23rd ऑफ ऑगस्ट, आणि सकाळी जाऊन संध्याकाळी येतो. मी सकाळच्या एसटीने जाणार 8च्या आणि लास्ट एसटीने संध्याकाळच्या 5ला परत येणार. आम्ही गेलो आणि पाऊस चालू झाला आणि फ्लडिंग झालं तिथे, आणि वी वेर ओके, वी वेर इन फॉरेस्ट. गावात आलो, गावातले लोक म्हणले आता नाही एसटी येणार, आता कुठली एसटी, ती अडकली मागेच. घरच्यांना पत्ता नाही, फोन नाही, काही नाही. बरं, आमच्याकडे काहीच नव्हतं, म्हणजे राहायची सोय नव्हती. लोक म्हणले जा देवळात, तिथे म्हातारा म्हातारी राहतात, ते घालतील जेवण. तिथेच जेवलो, ओल्या कपड्यात कसे बसे तसेच रात्र काढली. दुसऱ्या दिवशी सकाळी एसटी नाही, आणि शेवटी एक कुठली तरी आली एसटी, त्याच्यात बसून परत आलो. तर मी फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम मी म्हटलं आता संपलं, आता काही याच्या पुढे आपल्याला अलाव नाही करणार. म्हणून मग मी म्हटलं की नाही असं असं झालं. आई म्हणली ठीक आहे. म्हटलं तुम्हाला भीती नाही वाटली? मुलगी आलीच नाही, दोघी मुली रात्री आल्याच नाही. ती म्हणली आम्ही तुम्हाला दोघींना ओळखतो, काहीतरी तुम्ही केलं असेल, झालं असेल ऍडजस्ट, असं होतं. पण आज हे होणार नाही. त्यावेळेला आय एम टॉकिंग अबाउट ऑलमोस्ट 25 years back.
So, did this kind of help you in a way to be one of the pioneers of researching lateritic plateaus? Because you were one of the first people who started, looking on or searching about laterite plateaus. So, did that help you to do that?
So yes, that openness आणि एक म्हणजे आर्ग्युमेंट करायची माझ्यामध्ये हे होती, विच वॉज अलाउड ॲट होम, की यू कॅन आर्ग्यू विथ एव्हरीबडी, असं हे होतं. So if I found something which was not fitting what I was reading, or which was not fitting all the others telling me, I I had the courage to say की हे मग असं नसेल. म्हणजे मागच्यानी सांगितलं मोठ्या पेपरमध्ये म्हणून ऍक्सेप्ट करायचं, ही टेंडन्सी आमच्यात नव्हती, माझ्यातही नव्हती. So when I found this, माझं how I bumped into this lateritic plateau issue was interesting. की माझं पीएचडी करता करता आय वर्क फॉर माय पीएचडी इन मुळशी. त्यातला एक पार्ट होता की एक व्हेजिटेशन टाईप होता, इट वॉज नॉट फिटिंग एनिथिंग. आणि मी अनेक लोकांशी बोलले आणि इट वॉज नॉट फिटिंग एनिथिंग. बट आय फाउंड अ पेपर फ्रॉम आफ्रिका की इट हॅड समथिंग दॅट वॉज डिस्क्राईब देअर, पण आपला लँडस्केप तसा नाही. सो आय रोट टू द जर्मन सायंटिस्ट हू वॉज डुईंग इट, अँड ही रोट बॅक सेइंग की हो हा नवीन आहे, वी नो दॅट देर इज समथिंग इन इंडिया बट वी हॅव नेव्हर स्टडीड. So if you want to study, we will help you. And they helped us. But when I wrote my first paper, the reviewer said, छे छे असं काही नसतं, म्हणजे असं हे चूक आहे. तो पेपर गॉट रिजेक्टेड. वन ऑफ माय साईट वॉज कास. सो मी कास प्लॅटोवरती पेपर लिहिल्यावरती एका चांगल्या रेप्युटेड जर्नलच्या चांगल्या रेफरीनी ही रोट बॅक टू मी सेइंग ही खूप छोटी साईट आहे, त्याच्यावर पेपर नाही लिहितायत. 10 years back, 10 years afterwards, it became a World Natural Heritage Site. So there are issues where people are just not accepting something new. हा जास्त challenge होता. That's not related to being a woman, but that's probably related to how our Indian society or even scientific society looks at new things. So तो खूप challenge होता. त्यामुळे once like I knew की okay, I'm not completely mad की हे काहीतरी वेगळं आहे, and there are other scientists looking at it. मग लॅटरायटिक प्लॅटो, रॉकी प्लॅटोज ह्याच्यावरती काम करणं मला फार चॅलेंजिंग आणि मजा वाटायला लागली की अरे हे आय एम नॉट कम्प्लिटली गोईंग मॅड. पण त्याच्यामुळे नवीन नवीन गोष्टी आल्या. अँड नाव 20 years आफ्टरवर्ड्स यंगर सायंटिस्ट हॅव डन सच ग्रेट वर्क, आणि इट्स रिअली गुड टू सी की दे हॅव टेकन इट मच मोर अहेड. And that was quite interesting to see.
So speaking of CAS and young scientists on CAS, we've heard that there is this algae species called Navicula watveae. Am I pronouncing
That's
it
right.
correctly?
Yeah.
So does that sound familiar to you guys? Watveae, the word. So how did that journey look like? Having an algae species named after you?
Actually, that was a big surprise. Okay, it happens only to really big scientists and whatever. But the person who found it is Dr. Kartik Bala from Agarkar Research Institute, and he found this diatom. It's a single-celled organism, algae.
Yeah.
Okay. And when the paper got published, I was so shocked. So I called up and he said, no, I wanted it to be a surprise. And because I found it on cars and on wet habitats, I thought, you would like to be remembered like this. So that was really a big compliment and a big honor.
It is. It takes a lot of impactful work to be able to make an impact like that. So it really is commendable.
Thank you so much. But I think it's something that somebody has to, create some anarchy in the system. Ki, I challenge this. And then, suddenly everybody realizes ki, okay, we have been looking at it in this manner. One can also look at it in another manner. And maybe that is what fascinates us with nature.
Right.
Karan, there are so many viewpoints. You can look at it in so many ways, and it's always new. There are so many things to discover, so many things to learn constantly.
So, Lateritic Plateau, what are the new things that you think are a part of Lateritic Plateau? Because आपण जेव्हा बायोडायव्हर्सिटीचा विचार करतो, आपल्या डोक्यात तुम्ही म्हणला तसं ग्रीनरी येते. तर Lateritic Plateaus aren't like that, right?
Yeah. So these are basically plateaus which are naturally rocky. They are formed about maybe 60 plus million years ago, and they have not changed. So they are just like that, which has given the biodiversity time to adapt to it.
Right.
But these are not trees. The biodiversity is of maybe algae, mosses, lichens, all the smaller stuff, or the herbs which are highly evolved and therefore they can adapt. So carnivorous plants, desiccation tolerant plants. So all these are adaptations which one sees on rocky plateaus. And all at once. So you will find cacti-like succulents next to water-loving plants.
Oh.
So because it's a system which keeps on going through the seasons. Monsoon, dry period. Monsoon, dry period. Plants and even animals have adapted to it. So therefore, in one very small area, you will find many things which are all unique to it. So that's why, they have been called hot specks in hotspot. So Western Ghats is a hotspot.
Yeah.
In that, all these tiny places, Panchgani tableland, Kas, they have so many new species, so many endemic species. They're all only there.
Oh.
That's the special.
So, what infuriates me about the world currently is that एवढी सगळी डायव्हर्सिटी असून सुद्धा ह्या प्लॅटूजना वेस्टलँड्स म्हणून रेफर केलं जातं. सो व्हॉट डू यू थिंक ह्या एका शब्दाचा उपयोग त्यांनी कन्झर्वेशन स्टेटस ऑफ दीज एरियाज अफेक्ट केलाय का, अँड इन व्हॉट वे?
Wasteland, shabdas, if we can just take it out of our dictionary, that would be great. Karan, it's not just the plateaus. Even the desert has been called wasteland, and we know it's a whole biome, thriving biome with unique plants and animals. Even wetlands, or even once upon a time, mangroves were called wastelands. Till somebody woke up and said, no, they are not. People had to fight. Even now, scientists know this. But at government level, there is a lethargy in accepting the science. And that is a problem. This never happened outside in the world. Okay, then they have also gone through these phases की काही habitats ही महत्वाची नाहीत असं वाटायचं. But there the science and the governance of land go hand in hand. So they change very fast with science. Here we find this problem that scientists are working on their own, the managers are doing something, and the administrators are thinking something else. So this whole, issue always boils down to what the administrators think. की इथे प्रोजेक्ट करायचा, इथे हे करायचं आहे, सो मग याचा काही उपयोग नाहीये.
बरोबर.
We need to get down on the land and see actually what is there.
Yeah.
Which is a major issue.
So, like you said, communities, government आणि scientific data. तर हे तीन aspects असतात being an ecologist. So how do you ensure to maintain a balance between the three? कारण की you can't be biased towards one. You have to constantly be maintaining a balance between the three of those things.
So it depends upon position. Why am I into something? Okay. So I have tried all these three roles at some point of time or other. आणि एक सिच्युएशनमध्ये स्पेशली वेन पंचगणी टेबललँडचा जो इश्यू होता की द इश्यू वॉज डू यू अलाव सर्टन ह्युमन ॲक्टिव्हिटीज ऑर नॉट. आणि ही जेव्हा चर्चा चालू होती तेव्हा आय वॉज थिंकिंग की नाही नाही सगळं यू हॅव टू अलाव सम ह्युमन ॲक्टिव्हिटीज अँड वॉट एव्हर. बट the lawyer who was helping us at that time, she said ki okay, I can think of people, other people can talk on behalf of people, people can talk on behalf of people. You are talking on behalf of things that don't speak for themselves. So for this issue, keep everything else away. Just think of what is right for ecology, because this is a special site, and if you don't tell us what is right for this, then we don't know what to do. Rest of the things can adjust. It's a people's world. People will figure out how to fit people into all this. Tourists, yes, they want to see, we will figure that out. But if you are telling us that there are so many endemic and threatened plants, they will be lost if you allow tourism on large scale. Say it boldly, because otherwise nobody is going to say it. So sometimes that becomes my responsibility, where I have to tell you, okay, it's not that I don't want to think about people. There are places where I do think about people and say, but in this special case, I will take the role of this. And that I think it's very important, and it comes down to planning. We have good laws which allow us to plan ahead of time, regional plans and whatever. So that is where we should have different people taking up different roles and saying this is right. This is right for nature, this is right for people, this is right for future. That I think is missing out a lot now. You can see what is happening in Pune.
Okay, so let's take a short breather now. Let's do the rapid fire round.
Let's begin. Which one do you prefer, tea or coffee during fieldwork?
Coffee.
Is there any particular place that you love having like coffee from, your favorite coffee place basically? That's great. If you weren't an ecologist, what would you be?
Okay. Writer.
That's great. According to you, which is the most underrated ecosystem in India?
Rocky plateaus, rocky outcrops, I would say. I don't think we have understood them enough.
That's right. Which is the plant that perfectly represents your personality?
Senecio?
Is there any reason? Like a particular characteristic?
So, first though, it grows in large numbers. Senecio bombaensis grows all over. It's bright yellow. So you look at one flower and your mood is uplifted. I wish I was like that. Yeah, but I would love to be that plant.
When I saw you coming in, you gave me that vibe.
Thank you so much.
Okay. What is your favorite nature documentary or book which is related to your?
So there is a collection of writings called Granta. I don't remember who has done it, but it's a UK publication. Very interesting. So this is written, people have written about nature, but as literature. So it's beautiful, and there is particularly, I remember one part of it, one chapter, which is about England as it was.
Okay.
Not the England of today, which is very highly manicured. It looks beautiful. It's all manicured England.
Right.
He has talked about what England was in once upon a time, which had all the original bogs and ecosystems, which are, actually what should be on island ecosystem.
Right.
That's amazing writing, and it just you can now think of world of the past like that. So
Right. Okay. If you could globally spotlight one IUCN category, which one would it be?
spotlight in the sense.
Like put attention towards one that you think has more importance in the present time that we are in.
Are you saying category? So I was thinking of the red list categories. So critically endangered, anything which is critically endangered is like, a call for us to wake up and do something about
Right.
it.
Yes.
So I've seen people say, oh, we have got 5 critically endangered animals. Okay, that's not something to be proud of. It's a wake up call ki you get up and do something.
Right.
So
Your favorite scientist or somebody you've been looking up to, an inspiration throughout your journey?
Dr. Stefan Porempeski,
Okay.
not just as a scientist but as a mentor, because he made things so simple when he was talking and on field and in class or whatever, and constant support not just to me but many young researchers all over the world. The way he would make sure that we don't stray, typical German. Okay, so this word means this,
Right.
it doesn't mean this or this, you have to write in such a manner that it means this. So
Right.
that was a great learning.
That's nice. What's your go-to comfort spot in nature when you need a break?
Wow. Ghana National. I would, yeah, I mean, I would love to be there all the time, because that was one place where I could just relax. I had no work there, no work. I was, just piggybacking with some other scientists, and it's so beautiful. Apart from the tiger, it's just a beautiful landscape.
That's true,
It's,
yes.
I would love to be there early in the morning with the dew and everything. Yeah.
Would you like to go there alone, solo tripping, or like with someone else? Would you like to like make someone else come and see the beauty of
I
the
would
place?
love to go alone, but I know that's not possible. But yeah, I mean, there are all those rides, through the park.
Yes, yes.
So, but maybe in my own, the car that I'm driving at my pace, not tourist spotting cars. So,
Right. One environmental myth you'd like to break.
mm, yeah. So, I don't know whether it's an environmental myth, but people feel that environmentalists, or let's say ecologists, they love plants and animals. Okay. So we don't love plants and animals, we respect them. So people have asked me, how can you be, non-veg eater? How are you talking against the stray dogs? Because you are an ecologist and all life and all. So I said that I know that there's a place and time for everything. So I don't see anything wrong in my saying ki okay, dogs should be in a cared environment rather than on the streets having a very bad life. So I don't love tiger. I respect tiger and I respect its place in the whole nature. I think that's a different thing than love. Love sometimes makes you crazy, emotional, passionate. That doesn't go with science.
Right.
We are trained as a scientist to be rational and think in multiple manners. So I think that's one of the things that I
That's
would like
beautifully
to
put.
change.
That's really beautifully put. If you could add a new IUCN category, which one would it be?
Haha. Uh, wow, that is difficult to say. Uh, I would like to make a difference between things or species which are threatened by humans and are threatened by their own, being not from this time. There are some species which are relic species, as we call them. They are finding it very difficult to deal with the changing climate, but they are not necessarily threatened by humans. So maybe threatened by humans would be one special category, because that's where we can do something.
Yes, exactly.
So things which are naturally disappearing, maybe we can't do something, but things that we are killing off, we should be
Absolutely.
recognizing that.
Your work experience or your life in 3 words.
Oh my God. Nature, anarchy, and fun.
That's beautiful. One extinct species that you would like to bring back.
Okay. Well, it's there's a species which in fact we were forced to declare as extinct because it's just not seen there. It was called Bonaiodis limnophyloides. It's a small plant. We have illustrations of it, and you know where it was found? Bushi Dam near Lonavala.
Oh, okay.
So there are records of it that it was found there 100 years back,
Okay.
and we have specimens which make it clear that it was really there. It wasn't somebody's imagination. But whatever has happened to that area, there's no way that species can be there anymore. It's not being found elsewhere. So I do hope that there is some rare place where there are no tourists there, where it's still hanging by its head, but I doubt it. So last year itself, because there have been a lot of searches for it, but nobody has found it, and Bushi is like maybe a few lakh tourists are bathing there. So we had to declare that it's no more to be found. That's a sad loss.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. That's it
Thank
for
you.
the rapid fire round.
So I hope you enjoyed the rapid fire.
Oh, yes.
So coming to your current role, you play an important role in IUCN SSE. So what does that role actually, what do you exactly do?
So IUCN has a Species Survival Commission under which are several groups of scientists, which are mostly voluntary networks, but they have task of actually doing action for conservation. So ours is Western Ghats Plant Specialist Group, which we started around 2016, and it's now just maturing. So there are more than 80 scientists all over the Western Ghats, all botanists, and the focus is on plant conservation. So there are 3 steps in that, actually 4. So there is first step is assess, where we look at plants and look at priorities for conservation.
Okay.
So which plants are going to be in the red list, which are most threatened, what are their threats, all these, this is a scientific exercise that we do constantly, and more plants are getting into the, not in the red list, but in these categories. So fortunately, still now we have found a lot of least concern plants,
Okay.
but that doesn't mean that you should stop thinking about them. It's just a way of saying, okay, these need most attention, and these maybe we should just wait and watch. So that's assess. Second part is plan, like plan for conservation of threatened species. So my job as a coordinator is to get people to think in a certain way so that they can do better planning in their own areas. Because Western Ghats is so large. So what happens in Gujarat and what happens in Kerala cannot be the same. So just push people to, look at their own issues, their local issues, get good information together. If they're finding it difficult to maybe access some information, make it available, keep the network together, that's plan, and act is actually action. So we have a few projects where people are trying to grow threatened species. So examples from here are shared, like the northern Western Ghats are shared with those in southern Western Ghats, so that there is an exchange of knowledge. And the fourth one step, very important, is communicate. So probably among all these scientists, I'm the most vocal one, because it's my job to go and talk about what we are doing. So get people to write about it, communicate about plants. That's my job.
Okay. That sounds like really important work. So you talked about how we need to conserve certain plants because they are on the threatened list. But what I think about is, whenever I think about this, it's really conflicting that climate change is happening and it will keep on happening. It has happened through the history of Earth. So do we try to resist it, or do we try to let it happen at its own pace, or so should we conserve or should we not conserve?
Well, very interesting question. And although we all speak about climate change being a bad problem and all, as scientists we know that there are a lot of diverse issues that are coming up. Not all of them are going to be bad for all of us. So some people or some ecosystems may actually benefit also, and some may not benefit. The real problem is not climate change, but the pace at which it is happening. We know that climate has been changing right from the beginning of the earth, but it changed at a pace where the living systems could adapt to it. What has happened now is that the climate has been changing because of our activities in last say 50 years to such an extent, and not all over. It's more in pockets, and therefore some are suffering way more than others, especially the global south, including all of us in tropical areas, are suffering far more than the north, which has caused it also. That's one. And second, the social inequality is one issue that we'll deal with. But the second is the way it's happening. Our systems are failing very fast. So I was talking to one climate scientist, and he had done a study of the Arctics. And he told that, they did modeling, whatever. They published papers, great papers, and then they realized that what they had predicted was going to happen 20 years later is happening now. So they were not wrong. Their time period was wrong, and that is even more worrying. So it's not that we can't deal with flooding, but our systems have become so rigid that if next year it starts flooding more than what it is now, we'll find it difficult to change. So adaptation or resilience is something that we teach in ecosystem science. Ecosystems and the living things in it adapt when there is a slow disturbance happening. This is too much disturbance. So we need to deal with that. So our talk is now more about resilience. How do we survive all these sudden changes? We also as human systems need to be flexible. That flexibility is what is, we need to work on.
Do you also think that as humans, we consider that this is our world? As in, it's very, whenever we also talk about conserving species or basically conserving species, do you think that we do it for our own benefit again? Because it's very human-centric thought that we need to save this species to, save the world and in turn save the human species.
What you're saying is partially true, especially for the modern humans. I guess there is like a sudden change all over the world where people are looking at nature, but their view is of an individual trying to do something for it or benefiting from it. If you look in the past, the traditional societies, all over the rural societies over, the cultures that have evolved with nature have this understanding that okay, we are part of it. We are not saving the world. That saving ourselves is something really important, but that has become that was part of culture. Today, and the people understood balance. It wasn't like, okay, we shouldn't hunt. But how much to hunt was a cultural norm that you cannot go beyond this because it will set up things in action which you can't control. How much to eat, how much to use resources, how much to change your landscape, all were decided by a culture which had understood resilience. What is happening today is that we all would love to change the world, or we would like to conserve the world and protect it, but we see ourselves as something away from it. So I have seen and talked to people who are talking about things which are happening on the coast, things which are happening in the desert, in the forest, tropical forest, Amazon. But what is happening in your area? Can you stop tree cutting here? Can you do that? And I think that is enough. If we start looking at our own immediate ecosystem and do the real changes, I think that also adds to conservation. You don't have to go and save Andaman. You don't have to go and save Northeast. You can start from there. You have to support those who are doing it there. But you don't need to run away and do something else, So this is something that I think should be part of a lot of interactions and discussions of what exactly we want to conserve and why. We definitely are trying to conserve ourselves as a species. All species do that. Every species is trying to survive. So it's natural. Let's do it with more, thinking in it.
So, you talked about communities and their involvement, in trying to conserve. So, do you think empowering the local communities there can, with apps like eBird, iNat, the citizen science apps, which I see are rising in the urban cities a lot. So, do you think that empowering the local communities in those areas can help us with research? or data collection?
Definitely, because these tools fortunately are available to everybody today, and in fact, the work we are doing right now is in Konkan, in the Ratnagiri Sindhudurga district, where we started by encouraging people to contribute to iNaturalist because there was less data available, and people started doing it. All we did was to give the information in Marathi.
Yeah.
That language barrier, once that was gone, it's, Android technology is so beautiful. So people started collaborating and discussing with each other on these platforms and all. And it was really very useful for us to get data which we otherwise would not have got. And these are lasting records that are there. So this kind of empowering people is necessary. And technology is, I think, one of the best tools.
GIS,
All
remote
sorts
sensing.
of it. It becomes easier for people to accept what is coming to us from technology. So that's very important. But there are many other things. Like one of the thing is this idea of what we want as development. I think that also needs discussions.
Right.
Because information can take you to a certain level. Beyond that, when you want to get into action mode, then that empowerment also has to be about decision making, planning,
Right.
which we need to focus on now.
Yeah. So technology like the remote sensing or GIS can help you, do work. So has the technology integration changed the way you work? Or do you see the people who are recently coming into the fields, do they have a different outlook towards how people study ecology?
Uh, Not all the people will, I would say, but at least to some extent, I've seen over dependence on technology. And technology cannot replace your own experience on the ground.
Right.
That said, if you understand that technology is a tool that you can use, but you have to have your own ideas and whatever, then it's great because it has made us do things which otherwise would not have been possible. So GIS, remote sensing, even something as simple as Google Earth gives me the capacity to look at the landscape in a certain manner, think of where I'm going to do more work, where I'm going to do more studies, and information becomes available. For our recent project, we used drones extensively because we wanted to map the landscape, and walking on foot is not always possible. We didn't have remote sensing images of that nature ki we could do all landscape mapping there, and also they're very expensive. But drone became something so simple that a small drone could give us bird's eye view. And what is very interesting is that when we showed that to people, local people there, they were so excited. Even the kids were excited, and they told us a lot more other than what we had heard till then. We have our shrine here, we have these plants here, that plant, because for them also it was easy.
Yeah.
So technology can be a very powerful tool for interactions, communications, but therefore it becomes very important for you to have an objective. I have seen projects where the objective is doing GIS mapping. Why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Drone technology, we will use this, we will use that. To do what? So your research question has to be very strong today so that you can justify technology use. What is again even important is it's not just your research question. What are the issues that the community is facing? What are the issues that the nature there is facing? Can you address that? Because everything is possible for me, but what's the purpose? The purpose of my research has to be very clear, and it has to actually help somebody. So action oriented research is something I think we should be focusing on.
So people who want to contribute to ecology or conservation without actually being on field or ecologists, they have many opportunities like going into CSR or sustainability or even corporate roles. So what role can they play or what can they do to support conservation?
So corporate social responsibility today involves also environmental responsibility. They have broadened the definition, and it's a good opportunity for many of, especially the MBA students or whoever goes into HR. if they understand what it means by small actions for ecology or for biodiversity, uh, so two things are there. One is that for research, there are a lot of needs of research. They can support research, either exploring new areas or documentation of birds, butterflies, plants. Those are simple ones, straightforward ones. But they can also fund innovative research, which is like, how to grow this plant. I talked about endangered species, native plants, growing native plants. So that requires research. People think that you put any seed and it will grow. It's not like that. How can you multiply plants on a large scale? How can you spread them on a large scale? Good plants. That's one of the things. Creating little patches of herbal garden, medicinal plant garden, even insect gardens. That's all possible even in urban areas. Rural areas, you have a lot more opportunities. So all this can become part of a good CSR activity. It need not be just plantation. Even if somebody wants to do plantation only, then you need to think of biodiversity. I've seen people saying, okay, we have planted 1 lakh of plants. Which ones? Amla plant kiya, Bale plant kiya. Okay, these are nice species, but nature doesn't have 1 lakh of one species. So you need to think a little bit about how you would keep that alive as an ecosystem by itself later, for which you need diversity. It's not numbers game. I think all the students who would like to work in this or help in this need to understand that it's not a numbers game. The quality matters. Which species you are planting, what you are planting, all that matters. Through the citizen science projects, they themselves can become part of gathering data. I think it's such a wide field now. We need people to communicate to others. So we need good writers, poets, design people, because designing material about nature itself is such a challenge, and we as a scientist, we know what is to be told. We don't know how. I think that would be a great contribution.
So, in spite of having all of these things in place, such as CSR and whatnot, there was a list released recently about world's most polluted cities. So, there around 15 of, I think, India's cities were on that list at the top. So, what is your take on that?
The problem I feel is that now we have these numbers, but I remember, long back, near Simla office or near that IITM, there are the boards put up, air quality index ka board. I remember there's a signal there. Everybody used to stop. Nobody looked at those boards. And people were coughing, the kids were coughing, all this. It doesn't seem like it's related. So people, if you look at today Pune or any of the big city, Delhi, it has become so very obvious. The number of diseases and those which are related to air quality have risen phenomenally. We don't look at it as a health problem. We look at it as an environmental problem. Unless we understand that environment and health, livelihoods are linked, nobody's going to take it seriously. And it's not a problem of the administrators, because they are going to do whatever they want to do. As citizens, we need to demand. Okay, let me give you an example. All of us have to have that pollution certificate. Okay, if you don't have it, you end up paying some.
So, vehicles wala.
Vehicle wala, pollution certificate.
PCR, I think.
Everybody does it. Every vehicle has to do it. I don't ask the question that if I have been doing it for last at least 15 years, why is the air still bad? Then they will say this is not happening, that is not happening. So environment, ecology, biodiversity are commons issues, what we call as nature commons issues. They cannot be solved by me doing some good thing alone. That responsibility goes to the government on behalf of all of us. That is why it is there. And their decisions have to be sensible to them. If they say, okay, these are numbers, releasing numbers, some people are going to protest. a large number are going to say, no, no, but we wear this mask, we wear that mask, and that adaptation is not good. It is not good for all of us.
Yeah.
We need to be able to say very strongly that we do not accept this. We have done our bit, and it's time that the administrators do their bit and shut down whatever is not right for us. This is true about water pollution, air pollution, food adulteration. Everywhere we have to say, okay, we will do our job, but as people in charge of all of us, you also have to be stricter about this.
Yeah.
So I think this is something we should try very strongly.
Yeah. So for people who want to get into environmentalism or ecology, they're faced with a lot of misconceptions. Like the society is telling them not to do it because of certain misconceptions that they have about working in these fields. So what is the worst misconception that you've come across that people would stop believing in?
One definitely is that there are no career opportunities. Okay, because in a way I can understand people saying it, because nobody advertises for environmentalists, or it's not as common as somebody advertising for something else, IT professionals and all. That's not today not true. If you open your eyes, you will see a lot of places where person with environmental knowledge is required. The numbers are small today, but they are definitely growing. They have grown over the period, and they are growing. And there are a lot of, even in tourism, people are finding jobs now. There's a very large field opening of restoration, where you need everybody from sociologists to ecologists to horticulturists. So there are opportunities. So if you are looking for something very specific, that I want these many lakhs per year, that may not happen. Okay, and I think that's not going to happen for most of the fields now. With coming of AI, even the IT jobs have to be much more, you have to be much more alert of whatever is happening. That's true about everything. If you are passionate about something, if you care for something, then you will find a field, place where you can put yourself and do it. And action related, that's more important. So there are always opportunities. It's not new. I remember we had very good teachers, but most of them were telling us that there is no career opportunity in botany. Today they may think differently, but that time also they were correct in their own ways. But we figured out, as community we grew, we brought in environment to the forefront. Biodiversity has become at least a word known to it, and there are many more opportunities which I think will come up.
So as much as I'd like to continue this conversation, we are bound by time, so I think we'll have to conclude the podcast now. But I would like to say that I came in expecting a really fun and insightful and inspiring conversation, but it was so much more than that. So thank you for being here. Just before we end, I would like to request you to look at this camera right there and then ask everyone watching to like, share and subscribe to Adaptiv in your own words.
Thank you so much. So if you have been watching this episode, I hope you like, share and subscribe to Adaptiv. And I have talked to them, and they have so many more interesting ideas. So keep watching this space all the time. Thank you Adaptiv, and thank you MIT WPU